Hello everyone, my name is April, or X April May June, and I have been super obsessed with Disney Dreamlight Valley lately. I have come up with like a list of tips and tricks that I wish I had known when I first started. So if you are there about to start the game or you're fairly new to it, these can kind of help you get started and figure out things probably a lot faster than I figured them out. So without further ado, here's the list. One thing that I wish I'd figured out earlier on in the game is how to use the energy bar efficiently. And just understanding it in general. So it's basically telling you how much energy you have left to complete tasks, whether it be like, like mining rocks, or gardening, digging, things like that. And I would always go around and search because I found that fruit was like a pretty good way to fill it up. I'll eat one just so you can see, have an idea of it. But something, I don't know why, I just totally, it went over my head when it explained at the beginning of the game. You can go to your house, and it immediately refills it for you. It has a little plus energy on there for you. My bar is full. So if you're ever nearby your house, then that's, a good way to fill that up. Tip number 2 is going to have to do with your map. So, if you go to your map, at the beginning of the game, thought it was just to kind of see where the different areas were, what I had and hadn't unlocked, things like that. However, I have since realized that it shows you where all the characters are, which you'd think, they're floating around. That'd be pretty obvious. So you don't have to go and search them out and just wander around. And even better, you can actually, you can click on it and it will have like a glowing pathway that will lead you directly to that character. So that's super helpful at the beginning of the game. So another thing as far as traveling around and doing things is, if you've not realized at this point, that you can unlock the wells. You have to pay a specific amount of coins to unlock them, and they vary by price depending on the area that you're in. However, I thought at the beginning of the game that you had to walk up to them to select where you wanted to go to be able to get there. However, if you open the map in general, and I'll walk further away so you can see that I'm opening my map. So if you open the map, you can just click and travel from anywhere that you are. Another good tip to know is once you've unlocked some of the areas within the castle, you can also click on the castle and fast travel to them as well. That I actually didn't realize until a few days ago. Another good thing about this is when you do exit, it will just take you back to the location that you were previously standing at. So if you didn't want to be moved around, then you're not going to be. So another good tip is if you are in need of seaweed, which you usually are at the beginning of the game, because it's used to make fiber, which is eventually used to make rope. It's a little difficult to happen upon in the game. Sometimes it's on the ground, but the easiest way to get it is actually to fish outside of the bubbles in most bodies of water. There's usually one other common type of fish that you might get, but the likelihood of getting seaweed is much higher. So for example, here in the Peaceful Meadows, you might get a bass, but you are also very likely to get seaweed. Okay, our next tip has to do with cooking. For those of you who are really enjoying the cooking feature, or maybe you're trying to serve up some dishes in Remy's restaurant once you've unlocked that, you do not have to carry around all the ingredients in your backpack that you're trying to use. So for example, I only have in my backpack right now, I have like bass, apples, lettuce, onion, like milk, raspberries. I think that's it as far as, it's got some eggs. But if I walk up to my stove, I have way more things. I have potatoes, I have carrots, leeks, etc., etc. The list goes on. And that is because whatever's in your inventory, your storage, in whether you're keeping a storage in your house or somewhere else in the valley, it will all pop up as you're going to cook, so you do not have to keep it with you. You can keep stocks of, lots of 50 carrots in your inventory, so that way whenever you go to cook, you'll always have carrots. Speaking of cooking, using your collection area of the little interface that we have is super useful for many reasons. For the first being, if you have some some food that you've not unlocked yet, I personally, it's not cheating by any means to look up what the ingredients are, but it's kind of fun to use context clues to figure out what it might be, because it tells you how many ingredients you need. So for example, this puree, it's looking pretty, I don't know, potato-y to me. Potato might be the only ingredient, so it's kind of fun to figure it out that way. But this is also useful for other reasons as well. Let's say I do know that I need a bell pepper to go and create a dish that I'm trying to make. It does say at the bottom where you can buy it, or where you can buy the seeds to get it as well. For some things, if we go down here and I say, oh, I need cocoa beans, It says where to find it, so that's going to say Sunlit Plateau, Glade of Trust, and it's also super useful. It tells you how many that you can harvest when you are doing them, so especially for things that you are going through and you're growing yourself, like an onion, it tells you that, you know, you get 1 onion when you do it versus when you do like a bell pepper, or I swear there's another one, tomato, that's one that does 3, and then it'll also tell you how long it takes to grow, and then it'll tell you where you can get it. Which is super nice. It also tells you how much it'll sell for, how much energy. So definitely, you know, don't go eating a piece of lettuce if you're trying to get a lot of energy, because it's not going to work. And you can always double check everything here. The same thing works for anything you are foraging, any fish you're looking for. If you know that you have a quest and you need to get a carp, it's going to tell you where to get that. Where the different critters are, crafting things if you don't want to go up to a workbench to figure that out. And this brings us to the next tip, and that's if you need to give favorite gifts, which is good for both, you know, increasing friendship points, as well as sometimes it's just part of the daily Dreamlight quests that you might have, or something that's on like a star path for the event. If you go over to the characters, you can actually also see their favorite things of the day without having to go and find them and chat with them. So for example, Merlin's is the blue falling pinstemon, night shard, and the crudités. I know I pronounced crudités correct. I cannot be positive about the pinstemon. However, it's really nice to go through and just look so you can see, like, what do I already have in my inventory? Where do I need to go to get everybody's, you know, items that they need? And especially, you will notice that a lot of the characters will continue to have the same favorite things. They're kind of rotated out a little bit. But I personally know that, you know, Merlin likes night shards and dream shards. So that's something that if I have them on hand, I might double check to see if he wants them that day. But then I'll typically, or like I might consistently make crudités and have them in my inventory so I can go give them to him, etc. All right, our next tip has to do with gardening, which is something that you will be doing lots and lots of here on the game. And that's because you might need those ingredients for cooking. You might need them as part of a quest line, etc. And I'm going to show you how to do everything a little bit faster. The first tip is that where you are buying the seeds from is where the plants are actually going to grow fastest. This is just my example of my garden that I have here in front of my house. And here are some things that are super important. For one, you do not need to repeatedly press whatever button you're pressing, depending on which system you're playing on, to dig a hole. You can actually, although it's not telling you can dig multiple holes, you can hold down that space bar, and you can keep digging all the way across. And that tip also goes along with any other thing that you're doing. So for example, if you are mining the rocks or anything, that's also the same thing. You don't have to repeatedly hit the button to do it. You can just hold it down and it'll keep doing it until it's done. So that's really nice if you're having to, you know, dig for a lot of space for planting something. And then the same thing actually goes for if you are planting a seed. I kind of just ignored for some reason when I first started that it says hold to plant multiple, which I'll go buy some in a second to do an example. But I don't know why I did that, because it takes so long to individually plant all of them. Okay, here's that example. So I'm walking up to it. I'm hovering over the plant that I am trying to plant, and I am holding down the button that is asking me to do. So for example, I am on PC, so I'm going to hold down the E key, and it will just go across. Now, if you wanted to go to a specific spot, you'll just kind of aim the camera over there. So if I wanted to keep going around in this direction, then I'll turn it around as it goes. And then for watering, this one's pretty simple. You'll notice as you hover over, you do not need to water one spot at a time. On a good day, I can get 8 spots, but if I'm feeling like not too particular, then 6 is usually a good amount. And another thing that's super important, and this is the next tip, is make sure that you have a companion with you who is an expert in that area. That's their interest area. So that way you can actually get more of the product that you're trying to get. So for example, make sure you're with someone who likes mining. If you're mining, you will have a chance of getting extra, whether it be rocks or like gems, things like that. For fishing, you might get an extra fish, etc., etc. And for gardening, this is especially useful because some of this takes a long time to grow. So I'm going to grab Mickey for this because I have him assigned to the gardening ability. And then I'll show you how he will help me get a few extra bell peppers when we do this. Just kidding. I found Remy, and he's tiny and cute. So, I didn't know what let's hang out meant when I first started. I was like, oh, we're just going to hang out? It reminded me of Animal Crossing when they just come over to your house or something like that. But it actually has like a use. So, and it's showing me here too. It's got the little symbol that he is for gardening. That is what his extra little ability is. So he's going to come, he's going to follow me around. And even if you take a break and you're doing something else, he'll still hang out with you. He'll follow you. Remy is an easy one because he's tiny. He will not be in your way as you are gardening. And I'm going to stand right in front of the end right here. I thought the squirrel was Remy. It is not. Remy, where'd you go, buddy? Remy? Oh my gosh, he's just so tiny. Okay, anyway. So you'll hold in front of this, and just like you did when you were holding for multiple, you're going to do this so that way you can just write down in a row. You'll just harvest all of them. So I'm going to hold that down. And I guess he decided not to give me any extras this time. However, you will see that it did increase our friendship every time that I was harvesting any of the plants. So I'm going to give this lettuce just a second to grow so I can see if he'll be kind enough to gift me some extra lettuce as I harvest these. All right, the lettuce has grown. Let's see if Remy will bless us with a good harvest this year. Okay, Remy, do your thing. There he goes. Okay. All right. So, oh, wow. Much lettuce. So, as you can see, that makes it so useful to have them as your companion when you are, going to do whatever it might be. It really saves you time, and if at a minimum you don't really need that much lettuce, well, then you can sell the extra, and then now you've made some extra cash. And for our last tip, this might be something that seems very common sense, but I didn't realize for quite a long time that this is the case. If you open up your inventory and you see this little purple icon next to any of your items, this is telling you that this is being used for a quest, and it's actually even telling you in the bottom corner who the quest is for. So for example, this has a picture of Scar, and then this one has a picture of Kristoff, etc., whatever it might be. Some of these things it won't let you get rid of. For example, I have stall parts for something this is the only circumstance while I need them in the game, so I can't sell them or anything. But this can really save you if you've worked super hard on trying to make your fabric and, grow everything that you need to make it. So you don't accidentally sell it when you're going through and clicking through everything and, trying to make your money. So definitely pay attention to these little purple symbols so that way you don't make twice as much work for yourself. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you found at least one tip today that will help you make your game a little more fun or easy, whatever it might be. If you have a tip that you would like to share, please leave that down in the comments. Maybe it's something that I don't know, or maybe it's something that I left out, and I'd be happy to make a future video. I also hope that as the game is fully released in the future, that it will just expand and become more complex and more fun as it goes. And hopefully we'll get a winter event for a star path soon. I would love to decorate for some winter holidays. That'd be pretty cool. I loved the villain's little path that we got before. So yeah, just leave your ideas down in the comments below, or let me know if something helped, and I'll see you next time. Bye.